Hello, dear students, and welcome to Chapter 2.2 of English Yuvakbharati Class 11. Today, we embark on a literary journey to explore the timeless and captivating poem titled The Sower. Authored by the renowned Victor Marie Hugo and translated by Toralata Dutt, this poetic masterpiece is a gem in the realm of English literature. Let's start. Before we dive into the poem, let's get to know the brilliant mind behind it. Victor Marie Hugo, a French writer and poet born in 1802, is one of the most celebrated literary figures of the 19th century. His influential works include the timeless novels Les Miserables and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, both of which have left an indelible mark on literature. Apart from his novels, Hugo was an accomplished poet, and his poetry often explored a wide range of themes, including nature, love, social issues, and spirituality. His mastery of language and keen insight into human emotions make his poems a treasure trove of poetic brilliance. Let's begin with the title of this poem. The title, The Sower, immediately sets the central focus of the poem, indicating that it revolves around a character engaged in the act of sowing. This poem takes us on a mesmerizing voyage into the twilight hours, where the fading sunlight sets the stage for a profound reflection on the essence of life, labor, and cosmic connections. In this poem, Hugo masterfully weaves together imagery, symbolism, and poetic devices to craft a narrative that leaves a lasting impact on the hearts and minds of readers. As we delve deeper into the verses of this poem, we will witness the powerful portrayal of a humble figure, the sower, whose unwavering dedication to his task unfolds in the encroaching shadows. This poem not only invites us to appreciate the beauty in simplicity but also offers insights into the cyclical nature of existence, where sowing seeds heralds the promise of future harvests. In this video, we will examine the structure and form of this poem, which plays a pivotal role in its rhythmic flow and emotional resonance. We will analyze the poetic devices employed by the author, understanding how they enhance the poem's depth and impact. We will go through the profound themes that are etched into the poem. Furthermore, by studying each stanza in detail, we will uncover the layers of meaning hidden within the lines, and together, we will reflect on the significance of the sower's actions. The structure and form of The Sower by Victor Marie Hugo contributes significantly to the poem's overall impact and flow. This poem consists of 5 stanzas, each containing 4 lines. These 4-line stanzas are known as quatrains. The poem adheres to a consistent quatrain structure throughout, contributing to its overall coherence and organization. The poem is written in trochaic tetrameter, as each line has 7 syllables and follows the trochaic meter. A trochee consists of a stressed syllable followed by an unstressed one. The repetition of this 2-syllable pattern 4 times in each line creates a strong and steady rhythm, making the sower a melodious and harmonious piece. Look at this example of the poem's trochaic tetrameter in the first stanza. The consistent trochaic tetrameter creates a sense of musicality and rhythm, reflecting the labor of the sower as he steadily sows the seeds in the fields. The sower maintains a distinct quatrain rhyme scheme of AB in each stanza. The rhyme scheme remains unchanged, with the first and third lines, and the second and fourth lines rhyming with each other. The combination of the trochaic tetrameter and the structured rhyme scheme lends a poetic elegance to the poem. This poem showcases a beautifully crafted structure and form, with its trochaic tetrameter and consistent quatrains. The rhythmic flow, melodious quality, and structured rhyme contribute to the poem's enchanting and evocative nature. Victor Marie Hugo's mastery in using this form amplifies the themes of labor, dedication, and the cyclical nature of life, leaving a lasting impression on readers. Now, let's turn our attention to the poetic devices used in The Sower. As with many of Hugo's works, this poem exhibits a rich tapestry of literary techniques that enhance its beauty and meaning. We will explore various devices such as imagery, enjambment, alliteration, and personification, which help create a vivid and engaging poetic experience. Inversion involves the reversal of the usual word order in a sentence or phrase for poetic or rhetorical effect. Let's see some examples. The 13th line, marches he along the plain, involves the use of inversion. Its typical or conventional word order would be, he marches along the plain. The 6th line, but a sower lingers still, would be conventionally phrased as, but a sower still lingers. Personification attributes human characteristics or actions to non-human entities or inanimate objects. Let's see some examples. In the third line, the concept of twilight is personified as if it has the ability to hasten and take control, giving it a sense of agency or authority. In the fifth line, personifying shadows as if they are moving swiftly or running across the landscape creates a dynamic and vivid image. Imagery uses descriptive language to create sensory experiences and mental images in the reader's mind. Let's see some examples. The first line, sitting in a porchway cool, paints a picture of the sower taking a rest in a tranquil and shaded spot. The imagery in the ninth line, black and high his silhouette, evokes the visual of the sower's dark and tall figure, standing prominently against the fading light. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words, creating a pleasing and musical effect. Let's see some examples. The alliteration of the D sound in the 17th line creates a soft and melodic quality in the line. The repetition of the S sound in the 20th line adds a sense of whispering or softness to the line, evoking a dreamy and magical atmosphere. Enjambment occurs when a sentence or thought continues from one line of poetry to the next without a pause or break. The poem uses enjambment frequently. The majority of the time, that divides a stanza into at least 3 lines that can be read as a sentence. Take a look at these examples. The 5th and 6th lines can be read as a sentence. Shadows run across the lands but one sower lingers still. The 11th and 12th lines can also be read as a single sentence. Now to sow the task is set, soon shall come a time to reap. Hyperbole involves intentional exaggeration for emphasis or effect. This poetic device is present between lines 3 and 4 of the 5th stanza. Here, the poet exaggerates the sower's height, suggesting that he appears so tall that he could reach the starry skies. He emphasizes the sower's grandeur and elevates his actions to a celestial level. The central theme of this poem is hard work and the diligence of the sower as he plants seeds in the field. The sower's labor becomes a source of inspiration for the poet, leading him to reflect on deeper thoughts and emotions, and eventually, compose the poem. The sower's unwavering dedication to his task, even as darkness descends and the day draws to a close, highlights the value of hard work and commitment. Despite the fading light and approaching night, the sower remains steadfast, scattering the precious grain and fulfilling his responsibility as a cultivator of the land. This portrayal of diligence and dedication serves as a metaphor for the virtues of perseverance and industry. The poet's contemplation of the sower's actions evokes a sense of wonder and admiration. The sower's gestures and movements are described with reverence, suggesting that his labor transcends mere physical work. The imagery of the sower's height seemingly touching the starry skies emphasizes the idea that his actions have a larger significance and connect to something greater than the mundane. Through the portrayal of the sower and his labor, the poem celebrates the nobility of simple and humble work. It emphasizes the cyclical nature of life, where the act of sowing seeds represents a beginning that will eventually lead to a bountiful harvest, a symbol of hope, renewal, and the continuity of life. This poem serves as a beautiful tribute to hard work, emphasizing its importance and its role in shaping human existence. The sower's dedication becomes an inspiration to the poet and, by extension, to the readers, inviting them to reflect on the significance of labor, the wonders of nature, and the profound connections between humanity and the universe. Sitting in a porchway cool, sunlight, I see, dying fast. Twilight hastens on to rule, working hours are well nigh past. Let's take a look at the difficult words and phrases in this stanza before we proceed with the explanation. A porchway is a covered entrance to a building. Here it's the place where the speaker is sitting, which provides shelter from the sunlight. Dying fast refers to the process of becoming weaker or less intense quickly. Here the sunlight is fading rapidly as evening approaches. Twilight is the period of the evening when the light is fading and darkness is setting in. Well nigh means almost or nearly. In this context, the working hours are almost over or close to ending. The speaker describes himself sitting comfortably in a shaded area or entrance of a building, which provides a cool and pleasant spot to rest. The speaker observes that the sunlight is diminishing rapidly, indicating that the day is coming to an end, and the evening is approaching. The twilight, or the period between sunset and darkness, is approaching quickly, preparing to take over the fading sunlight and dominate the scene. The working hours are nearly over, indicating that the day's labor is coming to an end. Shadows run across the lands, but a sower lingers still. Old, in rags, he patient stands. Looking on, I feel a thrill. First, let's take a look at the difficult words and phrases in this stanza. Lingers means stays or remains in a place longer than necessary. Here the sower remains in the field despite the shadows spreading across the lands. Rags are tattered and torn pieces of clothing. Thrill is a sudden feeling of excitement or pleasure. The shadows, lightly cast by the fading light and twilight, stretch and spread across the landscape. Among the encroaching shadows, there is a solitary sower who remains behind, not yet finished with his task. The sower is described as old and dressed in worn-out or tattered clothing, implying that he might be a poor or humble laborer. Despite this, he stands with patience and determination. The poet, observing the scene of the sower persevering amid the shadows, experiences a thrill or a strong emotion, perhaps evoking admiration or inspiration. Black and high, his silhouette dominates the furrows deep. Now to sow the task is set, soon shall come a time to reap. First, let's take a look at the difficult words and phrases in this stanza. Silhouette is an outline or image of someone or something represented in a dark shape against a light background. Dominates means exerts control or influence over something or someone. Furrows are long and narrow trenches made in the ground by a plow. Task is set means the duty or work to be done is arranged or determined. Reap means harvest or gather crops, especially after they have ripened. The sower's silhouette, lightly outlined against the evening sky, is described as black and high, making it prominent and striking against the fading light. The sower's figure stands out dominantly over the deep furrows of the plowed land. His presence and actions seem to take control of the agricultural landscape. The poem reinforces the sower's purpose, which is to sow the seeds into the prepared furrows. This act is his current task. The stanza implies that after the sowing, there will be a time in the future when the crops will be ready to harvest. The act of sowing will eventually lead to a time of reaping the fruits of his labor. Marches he along the plain, to and fro, and scatters wide, from his hands the precious grain, muse I, as see him stride. Let's take a look at the difficult words and phrases in this stanza before we begin. Marches means walks purposefully and with determination. Scatters wide means distributes or spreads something over a large area. Muse I refers to reflecting or thinking deeply about something. Stride means to walk with long steps in a specified direction. The sower moves steadily and purposefully across the open and level field, suggesting his determined and rhythmic pace. The sower walks back and forth across the field, covering a broad area as he scatters the seeds generously and widely across the soil. The sower releases the precious seeds from his hands, which are crucial for planting and yielding the future crops. The speaker, observing the sower's actions, is inspired to muse or contemplate thoughtfully as he witnesses the sower's confident and purposeful striding movements. Darkness deepens, fades the light, now his gestures to mine eyes are august, and strange his height seems to touch the starry skies. First, let's go through the difficult words and phrases in this stanza. August means respected and impressive, often associated with dignity or grandeur. Starry skies refers to the vast expanse of the night sky filled with stars. The darkness of the evening intensifies as the light of the day diminishes. The imagery portrays the gradual transition from daylight to nightfall. The speaker's attention is drawn to the sower's movements and actions. The sower's movements or gestures are still visible to the poet's eyes, even in the darkness. The speaker perceives the sower's gestures as majestic and impressive. Additionally, they find the sower's height peculiar and remarkable. The poet's impression is that the sower's height appears to reach the starry skies, suggesting a transcendent quality or a connection to the celestial or divine realm. The sower's stature appears so immense that it gives the impression of reaching or almost touching the vast expanse of the starry night sky. In the final stanza, the poem reaches its climax with a sense of mystical and awe-inspiring imagery. The darkness of the night sets the stage for the poet's profound observations of the sower. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. In the first stanza, the poet begins by setting the scene in a porchway cool as the sunlight is dying fast or fading, signifying the approach of evening. Twilight hastens on to rule, suggests that darkness will soon take over. The phrase, working hours are well nigh past, implies that the day's labor is nearly done, and it might be time for rest. In this stanza, the poet introduces the central figure, the sower, who stands alone, undeterred by the gathering shadows. Despite the approaching darkness, he remains committed to his task. The mention of his age and ragged appearance gives him an aura of resilience and perseverance, emphasizing his dedication to his work. The sower's silhouette is described as black and high, signifying his prominence against the deep furrows of the plowed land. The poet highlights the duality of the sower's actions, currently sowing seeds, but soon, there will be a time to reap, indicating the cyclical nature of life and the agricultural process. The sower marches back and forth across the plain, scattering the precious grain from his hands. The repetition of the act of sowing emphasizes the labor, dedication and diligence required in this task. The poet is now musing or contemplating as they watch the sower stride. As darkness deepens, the sower's gestures become more pronounced and significant to the poet's eyes. The poet finds a sense of awe and reverence in the sower's actions, describing them as august or imposing and dignified. The sower's strange height, seemingly reaching the starry skies, adds an almost mystical quality to his character, elevating him from an ordinary laborer to a symbol of cosmic significance. Now that we have studied the poem in detail, let's go through its summary. The sower vividly depicts the twilight hours when the sunlight fades, and the sower, old and humble, continues to sow seeds with unwavering dedication. As darkness envelopes the scene, the sower's actions become majestic, and his stature appears to touch the starry skies, hinting at deeper cosmic connections. In the first stanza, we find ourselves in a cool porchway, with twilight fast approaching and the working hours almost over, setting the stage for the sower's appearance. The second stanza introduces the sower, a figure of resilience and patience, standing out against the shadows as he continues his laborious task. The third stanza portrays the sower's dominance over the furrows as he sows the seeds, hinting at the cyclical nature of life and the promise of future harvests. In the fourth stanza, we observe the sower's rhythmic movements back and forth, symbolizing dedication and diligence, while the poet's emotions add complexity to the scene. Finally, the fifth stanza reaches its climax as darkness deepens and the sower's gestures appear majestic and celestial, elevating his actions to a spiritual plane. Thank you for joining us today. For more chapters explanations, make sure to like and subscribe.